Yep.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast, and today we have reflection 223. Hopefully, I got that one
323.
right.
323.
323.
Yeah.
323.
Yep. It's
All
a
right, well, what you got?
it's a book called The Devil and the White City: Murder, Magic, and Madness at the Fair That Changed America by Erik Larson. So I think they're making a
Non-fiction?
movie.
Is it
Yeah.
non-fiction or mixed
Is it
fiction?
not nonfiction? Yeah. It's about this serial killer named HH Holmes. The World's Fair came to Chicago. Chicago was trying to back in like the late 1800s. They were trying to put Chicago on the map. They felt like they were like a second class citizen behind New York all the time, and they were really growing a ton. And they wanted to stake their claim to how important they were. And they got the World's Fair to come to Chicago. So the
Hmm.
World's Fair was coming to Chicago. They were doing all this construction. They were building this area called the White City. It was like all fully electrified, the full electrical grid, and it was like one of the first. That was like the big calling pieces of that whole fair. The Ferris
Hmm.
wheel was first invented at the 1898, or I think 1898 was when it was World's Fair in Chicago. Like that was the first time that a Ferris wheel was created. That was like another big, spectacle for the World's Fair in Chicago. So this whole little like white city spawned. Have you ever been to Chicago before?
I can't really say because I was just at the airport and driving around maybe a few blocks to get food.
So in Chicago, you have the lake, right? Like
Uh-huh.
it sits right on Lake Michigan. So you have the whole Lakeshore Drive is like this whole thing, and it
Hmm.
wraps around the whole area, right? So the you ever heard of Monsters of the Midway, right? The Chicago Bears, Monsters of the Midway. So the World's Fair is actually this area back here, I believe. So this whole area right here is all like parks. They designed Chicago to be around, and it's all like public parks basically along the lakeshore. And a lot of these buildings were built for the World's Fair, and they just designed the city as it was growing this way, right? So the Midway was the World's Fair Carnival. Midway was the first time they termed when you go to a fair, they call it the Midway. Well, Soldier Field, where the Bears play, was a big piece of that whole puzzle. And they're the
Hmm.
monsters of the Midway. Like they're in the
Right,
mid
right.
they're like the Midway goes up to where the Soldier Field goes, right?
Hmm.
So that's right on the lakeshore area as well. And anyway, so Chicago down here this is where the World's Fair was, and they literally built a little city down here for the World's Fair, and they called it the White City, right? So when they started to build all this stuff down here, I think it was called Jackson Park was the park that they commandeered. Like this, like basically all these hotels and shit started to build up around that area because they were like, oh my god, a ton of people are going to be coming here. So this guy named HH Holmes built a hotel. He was a big con man, and he conned a bunch of people all over the place and was really manipulative. He was a really handsome dude as well. He would manipulate all these people, and anyway, the hotel, because Chicago and just America at that time, you could just disappear and nobody would know what happens. If you got rid of a body and you did it well, you could just kill people, right? So this guy was a serial killer. He would prey on women, and he would get them to like invested into him, and then he would kill him. He would convince women to come live with him for a while, and he would kill them. And he just kept killing people all over this area around the World's Fair. Eventually he got caught, right? This whole book is about the story of HH Holmes, and it's about the World's Fair in Chicago, and it's about Chicago at that time, as well as him and how he fits into this whole devil in the white city. But he is the devil in the white city, right? Like he was just preying on people that were coming for the World's Fair and killing people. He had a crematory in his basement of the hotel
Hmm.
where he would just burn the bodies and stuff like that down there. Anyway, he was a psychopath. He was a very con artisty psychopath. He could get people to like pull people in with his charisma, and then he would kill them. And then he would just keep going. So this reflection for me was about the little voice inside of us all, right? I think you obviously know what I'm talking about. You know that little voice, like when you do something totally dumb, like you're just like, what the fuck should you just do, True? You know what I mean? Like, what are you thinking? Like, that was dumb. Like, you're an asshole. Like I gave the example of this of like talking shit behind one of your best friend's back to another friend of yours. And you're like, you get done with the conversation and you're like, why'd I do that? Like in your head, you're going, that was really mean. Like, they're a really good person. And like, I don't want to talk shit to them, and then you're like, ah, fuck it. Just, all right. I'm sorry. Move on. Get it out of your head. All of a sudden you're like eating lunch a little bit later and you're like, Chris, you're a dick. Like, what would you do if your friend did that to you behind your back? And you're like, oh, and you're asking yourself more and more questions, and you're like, you're an asshole. Like, why are you doing this? And you're like, shut up. And you just keep going back to it. Well, eventually, like, it never fucking stops. It's like, it just keeps coming back up at inopportune times, and it keeps asking you that question. You know what I'm talking about? Does that happen to you at all?
Always. I mean, just like when you told me about the integrity core values, and then,
Exactly.
you forgot to charge something in the self checkout, and shit, I gotta go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and somebody gives you more change than they're supposed to, like, you gotta go back to it because you can't. When it's just one of those things where it just goes against the core moral values that you have. I mean, core values. It's just who you are, and it goes against it, and it's an indicator that lights up, saying, bling, bling,
exactly.
bling.
And it doesn't shut up until you finally agree to sit down and talk to it.
Until you rip it out and put duct tape over it. I mean, it's like the indicator on the dashboard. You did this test. Two things you can do to it. You can just
talk to it, and you can address the problem.
You can address a problem so that it's disappear appropriately, or you can yank it out. Like, hey, I don't need an indicator anymore. Just tape over it.
So that's where I'm going with this whole reflection, right? So for me, these days, the only way to shut that voice up ever, and that because it doesn't stop, the only way to shut it up is to go, okay, you know what? You keep asking questions and you keep bringing this to my attention. Like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to give you my attention, so we're going to talk through it. We're going to figure out, okay, what did I violate that was wrong inside of me? Like, that is making you bring this to my attention so much, right? And then we have this conversation. We write it down. We talk about it, whatever. I don't really care. You meditate on it. I don't give a shit. But the point is you have to give it your attention in order for it to go away. Once you do, and you come to a conclusion of, okay, you're right. That was a shitty thing to do. I promise I won't do this again. This isn't the person I want to be. I appreciate you for bringing that to my attention. I will do this to try to make up for that. And then we'll move on, right? And then that's the good way to do it, right? I can't even imagine like how much time and effort must go into shutting that voice up, when you're doing all these things. Like, the first time you kill somebody, like, oh my God.
A lot of psychopaths are schizo, just because that's naturally schizo. Have two voices. It's conflicting himself.
Fair enough. I mean, well, I think we all have multiple voices in our head.
But they're more so because they are telling the other voice to shut up. Right?
Like
they
blocking
keep
it,
arguing,
killing it.
They keep arguing with this voice inside their head, right? So if you watch a real sociopath, they're going to have those moments where they're conflicting with themselves. Because until the voice inside of themselves is completely wiped out and killed by this other personality, they always will have the internal conflict, right? Yep. Sometimes they will sit there and ponder. Sometimes they would yell for no reason because they're yelling at that voice inside.
Yep.
Right? Because, hey, why are you bothering me? Why are you pestering me about this? This is what I want. That voice will always. I think that voice is your natural person that you come with.
It's your moral compass.
You have crosswire in a way, and you take on a new personality, and this new personality has somehow overtaken your personal persona naturally.
Yep.
Natural persona.
It's like if you were a beaver and you told yourself you're not a beaver, you're an eagle, and you shut the fuck up, beaver. And every single time you're like, no. Like, we need to do beaver activities, and you're like,
yeah, we need to go to the water. Then shut up. What are you water for?
Like, yeah, like actually, I think that
your hey, you can't fly. Shut up. I can fly.
That's exactly what I think. I never thought of it that way. Of like a schizo, basically is literally trying to trump their inner voice, right? They're literally trying to take another voice to trump their inner voice, right? I think we all have that same voice, right? It's just that most people listen to it and they're like, okay, you're right. Like, or they at least try to ignore it, but they don't replace it. They don't fully change it. Like, you have to, if you're going to be, that's the only way I can imagine you become somebody like an HH Holmes, right? Like, I just can't fathom that voice would be going off in my head all day long. And I would be like, I can't fight this anymore. Like, I can't do this. I can't bring myself to go to that level because I get offended when I get mad at my own self, or myself gets mad at me, when I do something stupid as talk shit about a friend or whatever, or accidentally steal something from a grocery store.
There's something inside of your moral compass, your core values that just prevent you from doing it. But over time, it's like right now, I can tell you, hey, you like Lucas, and if he's standing on a high ledge and he wants to go and jump down from the ledge, what would you do? Will you ignore him? You won't. But the thing is, that's because you are a good father today. But eventually, if you tell yourself that, hey, you don't care about that kid, or that kid can do whatever he wants, and if he break his neck, so be it. Eventually, you become this bad father, right? You can be a bad father. But I'm saying you as a person naturally is a good father, because that's who we are as this human species. Right. And so you have that moral compass already. But eventually, in order to become a bad father, it's like, okay, I have this wonderful kid and I adored him. And then certainly something happens to you, maybe at work when you're overcast or overworked or whatever, and then you're so tired, and then you mix it in with alcohol and drugs, and then you're jaded by your feelings, and then your kid is sitting on a ledge somewhere, and he was trying to jump down onto, some kind of rock. For whatever reason, you have successfully suppressed that fatherly feeling of, say, hey, I gotta protect this kid. So that's how it happens. It's because you have a circumstances that where it's right enough to suppress the natural inclination to become that, for that person to act.
Right.
Terrible father because of whatever circumstances that make him become that way. Same thing with a schizo person or sociopath person. Along the line, something happened to them and they weren't able to correct themselves or overcome it. Then they succumb, not overcome, but succumb to the other personality where they become distinct. Just like we're talking about, like the hero versus the villain, right? The same thing happens to both of them. It's just what happens, how did one react to the other one, right? The hero say, because I was dealt with this bad card, I'm going to overcome it. So I'm going to prevent other people from becoming a victim. The villain, on the other hand, succumbs to it and say, well, people did this to me, I'm going to do this to people.
Right.
So you look at that perspective, it's, the same thing can happen to two persons, and one can become a hero and the other becomes a villain. It depends on the actions of the person and how the event.
Once I know how to have that conversation with my inner self, that's mine out of value out of that,
The thing is, there's two ways to, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? One is like for a hero, if he's overcome it, he becomes stronger in overcoming it. If a person succumbs to it, so he's weaker, he will succumb to it more often, and then eventually it completely tunes out the other person.
Both ways.
Either way, right? So that's what I'm saying is, for a hero, if he is able to overcome the first time, it's actually easier for him to overcome the second time, and then even easier the third time, and so forth, so on. Flip side, if you succumb to the first time, it's actually easier to succumb to it the second time. Right?
It was always like a fun game for me to see if I could get away with sneaking the extra crackers into the bag without getting caught or something like that. Like now, no joke, like after this whole journey, like, and listening to that inner voice before, I was like, yeah, well, I got away with it. It was fun. Like, I don't.
I mean, you can even go to a place where they say, hey, these arts is free with donations. And what would you take? What would you take? Yeah. As a person, like you and me, what would you take?
I don't know.
If you take something, would you donate?
Depends if I like it or not, but I wouldn't take it if I didn't like it.
No, exactly, because it's your moral compass. You wouldn't take it, right? If you don't want it, or if you take it and not give a donation, because they say, well, you can take it without. I mean, it's permissible, even if it's permissible to say, hey, you can take it. You like it, okay? Let's say you like it. Let's say there's this piece of art on this table somewhere, and there's a bunch of them, and it's free. But please give a donation, because this donation should go back to artists or to whatever. As a person, as you and me today, and I can speak for myself, I cannot take it. Even if I like it, I cannot take it without putting a donation. Yeah, permissible for me to take it, because it's not to say, hey, you cannot take it. It's not a contract or anything. They say, hey, this is free, but I would like a donation. For me, I cannot take something without putting a donation, because it goes against a contract that my core integrity, core values represents.
Yep.
Right. And so can I get to a person where I don't give a fuck about all the artists or about the people in the world, and I take it without giving back? Right. I can be that person, but only if somebody, or like, let's say I get scammed like so many times. And the thing is, I get scammed before, but the thing is, the way that I see myself is, there are a lot of scammers out there. But I'm not going to let the majority of scammers change me into a person that will not help the minority of the people who actually need them.
Right.
Well, scare me
I
away.
agree.
I'm going to help because eventually I'm going to find somebody. Let's say 8 out of 10, right? It's a scammer. It's only 2 people. It's really need my help. Right? So the thing is, the way that I see things is because if I look at a scammer, the first person who scams me and I say, well, this world is a piece of shit. So I'm going to scam them. So that's my perspective. I can take that and become this new person.
Did I tell you about that time a couple years ago when I tried to buy my tennis ball machine, a Slinger bag, and I went on Facebook Marketplace and I was like, oh man, it was normally like $8.99, I think is the price, and then somebody had it on sale for like $2.99. I was like, oh fuck yeah. It's like they said it's like brand new. They just didn't ever use it. They're moving out of their apartment or whatever it was. And I was like, this is a great deal. And like, hit buy. And they're like, oh, great. Just send me payment. I'll ship it out to you. And I was like, you got it. What do you want me to send it to you? And they're like, oh, Venmo works, and I'm like, okay, all right, here. So I shoot them off the payment. And I'm like,
never heard
a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by. I haven't heard from anybody. I'm like, reach out to the guy and I'm like, you gonna send this thing? And no response. And I'm like, after like 3 weeks, it goes by and he has my money and he will not respond to any message on Facebook anymore. And then I called like Venmo and they were like, you can't do that. Oh no, it was Zelle. Wait a minute, was it Zelle? Yeah, he asked me to pay with Zelle. So because it was Zelle and I sent it, I think Venmo actually covers you on these things. But Zelle definitely does not. And I had no idea. I was like, wait a minute, this is coming straight on my bank account. They're like, it's a private transaction. They're like, we can't. If you agree to send it to somebody, then you send it to them. And they're like, we don't cover that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, anyway, to your point though, like I walked away with that when I was like, I could have just gotten really pissed off and be like, fuck, I'm just gonna.
You can pay it forward to the world. But the thing is, let's say you take that and you put it on me.
Right.
And that cancer would actually eat into my core values.
Right.
The thing is, my core values is strong. You cannot change me. But the thing is, how many people's core values are that strong? My fucking name is true, okay?
Right. Can't
so,
tell.
right? But that's what I'm saying is if you don't understand your core values, circumstances and things that happens to you could change your perspective. And your perspective could somehow create this new personality and that overshadows the real you. Right. And then eventually the real you is trying to fight back, but it's too weak because, and get slapped silly by the other guy, by the new, new spirit or whatever, new voices.
Well, I mean, like the real Chris is like,
some people say, hey, I'm dumb. They take responsibility. Say, the world is sick. Just like everybody saying, hey, the world is good. Now, but the thing is, you ask people, hey, where do you see humanity in the future? Hey, humanity is doom. Doom. I mean, you think about it. That is, if that is your perspective on the world, then that's what you see. I mean, if you only see the bad thing, then what happened to all the flowers and all the beautiful things that God created for you? You did not see. You basically are blind to the beauty.
Right. Well, this is the thing about that inner voice, right? My inner voice told me at that time, they were like, that's okay. like really, that's what my inner voice said. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It's fine. Like it didn't hurt anything. It didn't violate anybody. I was like, touche. The
thing is, I mean, why? I think to me, this is the thing is, why would you get so worked up on something that doesn't go your way? And say, well, it happened. You learn your lesson. The next time,
I can tell you why.
Careful.
You know how long it took me to push buy for that Slinger bag? You know how long it took me? It was like a year and a half in the making. I've gone to that website so many different times. This is an evolution of this journey, right? Where now these days, my rule is if it aligns to my values, I don't even think twice about purchasing the purchase because I know that I will get a ton of use out of it. And it will enhance the value.
It's knowing the value. The value of the thing that brings you. It's like, hey, for me, it's like, people spend money on cars unless you travel all the time. Fucking go buy a bed because you spend most of your time on a bed, right?
That's true.
So you buy the BMW of the bed. Don't buy a BMW if you sit in the garage. If you drive, I say fine, great, do that because you need to save your backs and make sure whatever it is you want to do is you want the best for your back. Your monitors, for example. For me, I sit in the monitor all day long. I want to buy the best, but my monitors aren't cheap. But the thing is, that's the point, is I don't want to spend things that is not valuable to me. So I'm not saying it's not valuable if you buy a BMW or buy a Mercedes or whatever. It depends on circumstances, but buy the thing that has value to you. So if you say, well, that's why for me and you is buying a book for $20, $30 means nothing to me, because I'm looking at this person's like 7 years of experience and trying to orchestrate his thoughts into a readable, understandable, thought-provoking book. That it has more value than $30.
Agreed.
Right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. Right. But when people won't even buy a book for 9 cents.
If it's something you already care about, it's only going to compound effect the opposite direction and make it even better. So for the Slinger bag, right? Like the reason why I could have been really pissed off is because it took me so long to finally, I had to learn. I was searching for this bag, years before even Amelia came along, right? Like this has been an evolution of this whole entire process, right? And when I finally was like, I'm going to buy this thing. This is no joke. Like the day, this is, I guess it's about a year and a half ago now. I finally was like, that's it. I'm going to buy this right now. I go to the website. I go, for like a brand new Slinger bag. I'm getting ready to check out. And I go, wait a minute. I should maybe just at least check Facebook Marketplace really fast, just in case there's like a used thing out there. Because I don't really care if it's new or used. If it works, like I don't really give a shit. So that was when I went to go buy this, right? So not only did it take me like a year and a half to get to this point in time, I had it in my cart, ready to check out on the actual website. Then made this decision, and I was like, yeah, what a great deal. Like, I'm so smart, and like, I mean, I was really excited about this thing getting there. And I was like, yeah, I finally pulled the trigger. It's coming, and like $300 is like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like that much money. It was just, it was one of those mental hurdles.
At the end of the day, it's still money. It's is made up. So even if you owe $6 billion, there's no need to jump off the top of the building. To me, this is my perspective. I don't understand. It's like, okay, unless you make me like commit suicide, then maybe that's a different story. But if I'm your broker and I lost $6 billion, like, yeah, I'm sorry. What can I do? I mean, worst you do is put me in jail. But the thing is, I didn't do anything on purpose. So in America, it's not like I did it on purpose and I fortunately. And to me, that's what I'm saying. Even then, there's no reason for you to commit suicide because you lost somebody's money.
Or your own money. Who gives a shit?
But that's what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it's just money. Money is something we agreed on. Like, hey, that has this value. Like, well, who decides that has that value? Because a $1 bill and a $10 bill, what's the value? It's we agreed that, hey, on a $10, there's a 10 on there, but it's a piece of paper. If you're completely blind and you never held a piece of paper before, how can you tell the difference?
Well, now it's even digital. It's just a number on the screen.
It's just made up. So even if it's $1 trillion, who cares?
What's it tied to?
$1 trillion can buy them the whole fucking universe. But then what? There's no benefit to them. There is no benefit to them. Okay, I'm going on a fucking yacht. Okay, I have some pretty girls or whatever it is you want as a guy. What else do you want?
I don't know.
I mean even if you're the fucking king, right? What are the benefits of okay, I'm gonna conquer somebody. There's only so much. There's only so much money that can bring you joy. Because after that, it's like, okay, I mean. Think about it. You think about what brings you joy. It isn't the money.
Do you know how many times I've used that the Slinger tennis bag, like since I bought it?
No, how much?
All the time. Like, I mean, all the time. Like, I mean, I'm down at the courts down the street. I mean, when I did my monthly challenge just a few months ago for 30 minutes of tennis, most of that was with me and my Slinger bag down at the courts, using my ball machine. I've gotten immense value out of that. Even though that Slinger bag didn't just cost me the $2.99 or whatever the guy scammed me. It was that. Then I had to go buy the other one again, the real one at the real price. So it ended up costing me $1,100 or whatever it was. But even then, I don't care. Like, I use it all.
You have more value out of it than the $3.99 and the real price and the time you lost it, right?
Yeah.
So there's immense value. It's a very skewed benefit to the price. In terms of things that is relating to you. So to me, it's one of those things where if you spend most of your days doing whatever things, it's just get the best that you can get.
This is where the inner critic comes into play. It's for good values and bad values, or it's for things that disgust you and things you love, right? But just listen to it, because like if you listen to it and it says, "Hey, you love this stuff, just don't worry about it." Okay, I won't worry about it. Like, oh hey, that was pretty shitty. I don't know why I thought that was shitty, but I thought that was shitty. And you just listen to it and go, oh, you're right. I don't want to treat my friends that way, because maybe one of my values is community. I don't know. Like, is that it? Do I just want to be, a tribe or something? Like, my point being is like, all you have to do is just listen to the inner critic. Otherwise, if you don't and you tune it out, you end up like a fucking psychopath that's killing people. You know, like I don't even know how he does this stuff. I mean, like we talked about, like if you mute that, you have to literally kill your inner critic.
I'm telling you that whenever you have the inner conflict, you are miserable. You are essentially, self-inflicted misery. This is essentially what people do in terms of their pain. Most of their pain comes from within, not from without. Yes, there are pain that come from without, and we can name a few examples, things that happen on a random chance. But majority of all the pain we feel comes from within. Because you don't need that extra,
It doesn't shut up. It doesn't shut up. You will torture yourself. If you do not listen to yourself, it will torture you. That is its job, to throw it right into your face.
Your body has an affinity for certain things. It's a natural state of being. As a certain expressions of your gene, it wants to, be in a certain environment, and it's gonna home. If you're a beaver, it's gonna home for that river. It's not gonna go say, "Hey, I'm yearning for the desert. I'm looking for the river." That's all I'm looking for. Whether or not I like it or not, my body says I need to be in the water, because that's in order for me to cool down my body and have this experience that I think is like the equilibrium of beaverness.
Right.
And so every one of us has that unique expressions of gene, and we have to make that connection with the environment, with what you have, because you cannot completely, and you think about it, a beaver, right? It has the waterproof coat. That means that it needs to be cool. So you imagine putting him into a desert, a hot environment, or a cold environment. It's not jiving with that particular fur or skin, right? So it creates a harsh condition.
All day long, he's going to be telling you, get the fuck out of here. Like, and you're going to go, no, it's fine. This is our home. No, idiot. It's not home. Go.
It's not. And so we have the same thing. That's what we call your core values. This is what we call.
This is exactly what it is. It's an inner compass. It's
core values,
decision-making framework. Yes. Yeah, it's your decision-making framework as to your elephant will bring it to your attention, and then you need to decipher if that is why that's being brought to your attention, and you use your.
Think about something basic. I mean, like I say, I'm basically beating this to death, but think about things that you need. Hey, I'm thirsty.
Tells you you're thirsty, and you're like,
okay. So imagine if you're thirsty and you ignore you're thirsty. How do you feel? You feel great, right? No, you don't feel great. You feel miserable. Right? I'm hungry. Just ignore it. I'm hungry, and now I'm going to eat a bunch of dirt. Right? But you think about it, just say it's very basic stuff. That's what I'm saying is you're hungry, but you're hungry for something as a human wants to eat that is, healthy and beneficial for that person to regain energy. So you think about things like, hey, your body needs something. You got to give it what it needs. That's what I'm saying is, and if you don't, let's say I'm thirsty. Well, your voice say I'm thirsty. Hey, I'm thirsty. Go get some water. Go get some water. Go get some water. Go get some water. Right. So the inner critic is exactly that. There's no magic. I'm not giving you any voodoo here, okay? Don't say, hey, whoa, I don't hear no fucking on your voice. No, you're hungry. Well, and someone told you you're hungry. Well, how do you know you're hungry?
Because you listen. Because you told yourself. You agreed.
But that's your inner voice.
Right. It could also tell you when you were a dick to your friend, and you could say, okay, I agree with you. I mean, you're right. I shouldn't have said that, and I won't do that again. That's not who I want to be. Like, I want to be this.
When your body tells you you're hungry, right? Your body tells you, hey, you shouldn't, talk shit about it. It's the same mechanism.
It is. Yeah.
It's the same mechanism, and your body is telling you because it has a certain gene that needs to operate in a certain way. Because when you're hungry, right, you say, hey, I need food, right? Yep. Whether you call that inner voice or whatever you want to call it, I don't care what you call it, but you and I have the same thing, right? We know when we're hungry. We know when we're thirsty, right? And some things told us that. Some indicator tells us I'm hungry or I'm thirsty, I'm sleepy, I'm tired, whatever, I'm cranky. Those are your inner voice. It's telling you something, right? Same thing we're talking about for your friends. Something triggers that. Your core values of integrity or friendship or whatever triggers that, hey, I feel kind of bad, right? When you're hungry, you feel bad, right? In general, you feel bad. Like in the general categories of, hey, good versus good, bad bucket, right? When you're hungry, you feel bad. When you're thirsty, you feel bad. I can't just sit here. I got to find something to drink, right? You're hot, right? What happens when you're hot?
You want to
You
get
gotta cool
cold.
yourself down, right? What
I'm
happened?
cold. You want to get warm. Yeah.
Right? But you
Yeah.
can't just ignore it. But think about things when you ignore it. What happened to you?
Bad shit happens is what happens.
I mean, the first thing is you endure this misery.
I mean, hey, you could ignore being cold and end up like the Iceman, you know, Wim Hof, right?
Iceman does not endure feeling cold. He trained himself to feel cold, but he doesn't feel cold. The thing is, you think about it, when he submerged
It's
underwater,
relative, right?
no. When you submerge underwater, they measure his temperature. His body temperature did not go down.
He's found a way to regulate,
So he's able to regulate. He's not enduring all that time. You
Right.
look at his finger, his body temperature, it didn't go down. So he's able to maintain his body temperature. That's not the same thing. Think about it.
Yeah, I agree. Even in that scenario, it actually holds true because he's like, well, my body knows I need to be warm, so I figure out a way to be warm when I'm cold.
He's not enduring the coldness. Maybe in the beginning, he's able to get himself trained in a way.
Right.
Maybe he was cold at the beginning, but he didn't endure it all the time because even when he was in the Iceman or when he was running in the desert, he didn't overheat in his body. They measure his body temperature.
Right.
So that's
yeah. No, that's a huge difference. As a matter of fact, it's a massive difference. It's actually proving what we were talking about before, just how much we're willing to endure and try to problem solve in order to get back to where we want to be. You know, just like a homeostasis feeling, like a balanced feeling. All right. Well, I feel purged on this one, and I'm fucking exhausted from a meeting all day long today.
Who told you you're purged and who told you you're exhausted?
Well, that inner voice is saying go to fucking bed, Chris, because like you're tired. Any final thoughts?
I don't think I have any more. I can't make it simpler than telling you the basic thing you already know and you already knew when you're baby. You know, when you're hungry, baby do what?
Yeah, I mean, do what they got to do.
Hey, they do what they got to do, but they know, and so you know. So it's not a mystery. So don't go telling me, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. What's in a voice thingy? You know, some voodoo thing that you guys pull out.
100%. I mean, everybody's got it. Just listen. That's all you got to do. All right. Well, thanks for joining, and we will leave you with the question of: are you listening to your inner critic? And if not, then you're.
It's not subtle. My thing is the inner critic. It's not subtle.
No.
Like I'm saying, if you're hungry, it's not subtle. It's tell you I am hungry.
No, it won't leave you alone, man. It won't
you're bawling and saying, "Wow, I'm so hungry."
Yeah, I mean, it does not leave you alone until you address it. It will not leave you alone.
It's your ability to recognize it because you refuse to recognize it, but it's not subtle. You know, when you went out with that extra piece of grocery. It's like I mean,
I think about it like over and over. You know, like hell, I told you with the damn it, you're gonna loop me back into this. But I told you like that one time when I thought I maybe called a ball in or out that was in, and I couldn't. Like I mean, I was
probably can't sleep.
I mean, it was awful feeling. Like I'm like, why did I do that? Like what? I mean, I could have just. Who cares? Like it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like these.
Even the result isn't important. It makes a big deal out of it.
I don't care. Like I didn't care about the result. Like it never mattered to me. I don't know. That's not who I want to be. All right, that's it. We gotta go.
Wrap it up,
have a good everyone, and we will see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. See you.